Hey everyone, it's Finch here. I got a comment recently saying that they wanted me to discuss the Darmanitan ban because they either didn't agree with it or wanted some more explanation. And unfortunately, I've been really busy lately, busier than I thought because I've had to do the power rankings and it's taken up pretty much all of my Pokemon time. So I haven't been able to fulfill the promises I left some of you guys. I was uploading almost daily. I'm sorry about that, but I do want to get this topic discussed. I feel like it'd be a good video. I feel like it'd give a lot of people some perspective from maybe the inside, and I'm all in on transparency, so that would be cool. And also, I just want to say that I'm not giving up on this. It's just maybe I won't be able to do it every single day. Maybe it'll be like once, twice a week. I hopefully a little more than that. I don't want to promise anything now that the power rankings have been like kind of occupying my time, and then once New Year hits, I'm going to be starting a couple other things in real life. So yeah, we'll see. Here's hoping. Cross your fingers. Anyway, so here's a timeline. I'll give you guys. It was like the 15th of November when the new generation came out. And right off the bat, Dynamaxing was clearly a controversial mechanic. So eventually, we decided to suspect it because it was such a big, groundbreaking thing that we didn't want to just quick ban it away like that. We didn't have permission to do that either. So we had a suspect on that. And in the time leading up to that suspect, during the suspect, it became clear that Galarian Darmanitan was also really problematic in metagame. It was very fast and strong with the Choice Scarf, and it was just overwhelmingly strong with the Choice Band. So while it did have maybe a bit of a defensive drawback in terms of being mono ice typing, and not the most bulk, it had a lot of HP, but not the highest defenses. It was still really problematic offensively. There wasn't enough offensive or defensive counterplay to it, especially defensive counterplay. So we had to investigate that, and then we opened up a thread called On the Radar. Let's find that thread. Sure. On the Radar. John actually posted it on the 19th. So basically, it was saying, in light of recent events within Dynamax, we wanted to kind of address other problematic aspects of the metagame, blah, blah, blah. So we wanted to look into what else could be issued, a suspect or a quick ban in the near future. And the one thing that stood out to the entire council was Darmanitan, Galarian Darmanitan, as I mentioned before. So we opened a thread on it, and a lot of people posted in favor of the ban. Let's go. I'm gonna find like one example. Oh, sure. Let's get a brief example. Let's go with Hey Burner. I posted this in Discord before, but I honestly see no reason to suspect arm. You're gonna be wasting 2 weeks of massive ban vote. So why bother and just quick ban? Okay, he doesn't give much reasoning there. Let's find some reasoning. So let's go with this post. Efficiency is the name of the game for Galarian Darmanitan. Guerrilla Tactics is a nerf-free choice band. Boost either makes Darmanitan a breaker, choice band equipped, or a powerful cleaner to scout, choice scout equipped. While some teams have adapted to using methods of like baneful bunker talk specs, yeah, which could like help scout it out. Of course, Darmanitan is a Pokemon that forces ice resists on every team, and even those could take advantage. For example, a lot of ice resists, like steel types, are weak to both Earthquake and Flare Blitz, a coverage move which commonly uses. And on top of that, bulky waters are taking a lot from Earthquake, especially if Choice Banded 2Ks all of them. And Toxapex also gets 2K'd by Scarf. So yeah, Steel and Ice types like Corviknight and Avalugg aren't safe either because of coverage moves. Yep, just two examples. And even then, Superpower has been used on Choice Bandits at a decent amount to hit things like Rotom Heat and Rotom Wash, although U-Turn and Ice Crash eventually chip them down very well. Dimension is flawed by its choice lock to some extent, but another critical factor is that there's no pursuit to punish that, so you pretty much only just protect to scout it out, and even then, that's like just like kind of forcing it out, and you're being forced out as well. Scarf Dimension, yes, good coverage. It could break a lot of things. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to take advantage of it, and U-turns is so great. So yeah, basically, the breaker of all breakers that's versatile in coverage and also has two potent sets was the point he was trying to make, and I agree with that, and we'll reiterate that in this post pretty much. So yeah, ultimately the on the radar thread was like overwhelmingly supportive of a ban, like well over 90%. So they from there they basically was a discussion about like guerrilla tactics first, Darmanitan because everyone's so in favor of the ban, and eventually the council made a decision, and that was this. We didn't even feel a suspect was necessary; just wanted to quick ban it. A couple reasons would be a, so the metagame could like start developing in its like full form, because nothing else stands out as like blatantly like quick ban worthy broken probably. At the moment, I'm not going to commit to that, but like good chance that nothing else gets quick banned. Yeah. So basically that, coupled with the fact that coupled with the fact that Its suspect would have been a waste of time. It really would have been. I mean, it was so clear that there was an overwhelming consensus in favor of the ban. It was so clear that people wanted it gone. So we acted. Something that we didn't do as much last generation. I feel like that actually put some pressure on us to act in a more of a timely fashion and also cater to the desires of the community. And I feel like that kind of is good to put us in a bit of our place. And while we still make the final decisions, it was good to kind of have some contextualization, some reference points, and the underrated I thought really did that. So thank you to everyone who posted. But anyway, we're just questioning the ban. Let's get into the post, explain the justification, and maybe I could elaborate on some of the points made as well. So yeah, the council said to ban Darmanitan-Galar and Darmanitan, gauging community opinion and discussing amongst ourselves at length, we have come to a unanimous decision. Yes, so for in order for a quick ban to happen, the entire council not only was pro ban in general, pretty much everyone for it, but also we were pro quick ban. It took a couple days of discussion for this to happen. It was not like we were all pro ban initially. We weren't sure if quick ban or suspect was best. But after discussing this at more and more length, we decided it was the best course of action since it's quite literally the embodiment of being overpowered. So yeah, I mean, as Charmflash stated in his post, it's ridiculously strong, and we'll get into this first with the choice band set, which pretty much lacks any counters. There really are no counters to choice band set. You tweak KO through everything. The main drawback of the choice band set, of course, is the speed, but we'll get into that. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's broken if there are like no direct counters, because something could have no defenses and speed, so it dies to any hit before it, and even if it has like the most otherworldly offensive abilities, it's not going to ever do anything. And sure, you could say, oh, sticky webs or trick room, but I mean, even then, it could be kind of a slippery slope. If so many things naturally keep it in check just by that, then obviously you have to have certain other characteristics to be a practically effective Pokemon. So what we're trying to say is that while Darmanitan is ridiculously strong, it also has those other things going for it. The moves that Galarian Darmanitan needs to employ in order to be uncountable typically range from 2 to 4. So yeah, I mean, Ice Crash and U-Turn I collect a ton, but Earthquake to hit something like Toxapex, its prediction is great. Or Flare Blitz to hit Corviknight, Avalugg, etc. Yeah, kill Ferrothorn in one hit. So yeah, and then obviously Superpower and the Choice Band set is like kind of like a backslash caliber move, and you can hit Rotom Heat, Rotom Wash, or the aforementioned Avalugg, even Ferrothorn, Tyranitar 1. Yeah, a lot of the things just are a ton of neutral or super effective damage. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't really need all the coverage moves. It really only needs Ice and U-Turn to like be great. But with those coverage moves on top of that, it makes it even more impossible to check, let alone counter, which you really can't do for the Choice Band set. So yeah, I mean, it pretty much is freely able to click U-Turn at any time. But I guess that's kind of disincentivized by Choice Band not giving it as much speed to get in less time. So maybe Scarf will get in 3 to 4 times over the course of a battle, if not more, depending on like the nature of the team. Banded could get in only once or twice, and while those times it'll almost definitely get a killer, like a significant dampen hurt onto the opposing team, it's not really gonna dampen as consistently their defensive capabilities as much as Scarf would per se in the long term, if that makes sense. So yeah, basically, to top it off, yeah, 95 base speed. It's a good speed tier, so it's going to get in at least once or twice. No doubt about it, especially if it's paired with like Volt Switch or U-Turn support from Mandibuzz, Rotom Heat, Rotom Wash, etc. Oh, just got to close this out. But it still gets outsped by a lot of things, and Priority can take it out. So yeah, that's worth noting. It's a lot for the Sword and Shield metagame again. I mean, with less Pokemon, so many things aren't actually fast, and a lot of the fast things aren't in the game. So again, like staples like Togekiss from the Dynamax metagame Extra, which is still great. Rotom forms, they're all outrun. Of course, here are some calculations that he decided to include that are very relevant in my eyes. Again, Toxapex gets pretty much knocked out after Stealth Rock's always very quick, and again, a lot run some special defense. They can even just die in one. Even if it's max defense, there's a 43.8% chance to die to a non-stab Earthquake from Banded Darmanitan, which is ridiculous for a max plus Toxapex. Jellicent, which can check Scarf pretty well, assuming it's like not knocked off and like status or hazards are up, is gonna have no chance of checking this. In fact, even with one flinch, the ability to kind of flinch it down is more than possible, especially since it's probably strength up on that turn. So worst case scenario, it's not even gonna burn you, probably. But yeah, Justin's in no way a checker counter. And then Rotom Wash slash Heat, again, yeah, if we run Superpower, then they're getting punished. And none of them actually run max defense, so a lot of them would just die from full, or Rotom Wash like die after Stealth Rocks. Heavy duty boots and blood on Rotoms, usually that'll hang on with a little bit of help. It's a standard nasty plot variant. But yeah, moving forward, more specific attempts at counterplay. Pikamuku is actually a great answer to it, in the sense that it could like tank every hit, but it can't really do much in return, so it's like weird. Again, even that will die to 2 choice banded hits, and Avlog surprisingly eats the choice band superpower, but Flablets also 2KO it. Shedder's repo there, but yeah, Avlog's actually close to what you're going to get as an answer because it does require prediction and it can't kill it in one, but I mean, then any follow up hit would be able to kill it later on, so kind of not a counter, but at least it's a jack. It should be able to shrug off choice band, Icicle Crash even pretty well due to the resistance and ridiculous bulk, but I mean, it's Avlog. And yeah, I mean, Stealth Rock can come into play, but also you have when you mention Stealth Rock, you have to consider that Darmanitan's also taking 25% from it. So Darmanitan's very hazard vulnerable as well. And things like Avlog and Rotom, he do run heavy duty boots at least. So moving on, the Choice Scarf set, which is my personal favorite, which is touched in this paragraph. Choice Scarf is the other popular choice on Darmanitan. The item allows it to reach these few faster Pokemon like Dragapult. A couple other examples would be like outrunning Choice Scarf users such as Rotom, Wash, Rotom Heat, and a couple other things, yeah. Alright, sorry, just a brief interruption there, but yeah, we're back. So basically, the Scarf variant allows it to kind of outrun a lot of those things that maybe could get a chance at revenge, coming in once and then like forcing it out, at least, which is decent counterplay from an offensive perspective with the Choice Bandit set, which is kind of one of the main drawbacks from it, in the sense that there is offensive counterplay. So even if there's absolutely no defensive, like there is offensive counterplay. So while it probably still would be ban worthy, like at least it's not completely unplayable to the point where maybe it would have been suspected. But like the Choice Scarf set kind of rounds it out so well, in a sense that with that you're able to outrun them, and also things like the trio, for example, you turn out of so they can't trap you. If they like is a double down, or you kind of something like this fodder to hazards, for example. On top of that, you can also go for the flinch, so it doesn't reverse kill you. But yeah, I mean, obviously, otherwise, like against Choice Bandit, then Dog Trio can get like a significant jump off with Earthquake if it's faster, or if it's down to Sash, reverse will kill you. But it can happen against Scarf as well. If you don't get the flinch, or you're locked into like Earthquake or Flablets, for example, and then reverse will obviously take you out, leave it at 1 HP if it's Focus Sash. So the trio actually became an okay like countermeasure, in a sense that pretty much every countermeasure couldn't get flinched. Like Rotom Heat, if it's at like 60%, and it's one flinch away from just being obliterated pretty much. So same thing goes for the trio. See, I mean, also there's a lot of odds that came into actually checking it and countering it if you didn't have something like Vaporeon, which is really impractical to run in the metagame. But yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's get into it a little more. All this means that Darmanitan-Galar is able to get countered by certain Pokemon, which is true. Again, you could get countered by Vaporeon or Jellicent, or checked by Avalog if you're running this. It still remains really strong, and having U-turn lets it chip these things into 2KO range over time, especially with hazard support. And the sheer existence of popularity of Choice Scarf makes the Choice Band set even more threatening, and vice versa. Choice Band makes Choice Scarf more threatening to switch into earlier on in the game. So yeah, I mean, these kind of play off each other and just make it a devastating beast, where it can only run 4 moves and it can only especially run 1 item. But no matter which set you look at, it's kind of broken in the sense that there's really no offensive counterplay to the Choice Scarf set, no defensive counterplay to the Choice Band set. And the other form of counterplay for the other two is pretty much like the bare minimum. Like, you'd still probably ban it. So it's just not competitive. Now, there are some flaws that it does have. The first one we'll go into is the defensive typing. It's mono ice, so not only is it weak to Stealth Rock, but also common attacking types like fighting, fire, steel, rock, all can be, of course, used to pretty much take it out in one hit, as it's not the most bulky thing. While it does have decent HP, the defensive stats just aren't there. So yeah, indeed, it not switch into much. It can switch in like very like weak hits. But it doesn't really need to, like, because of how fast the Choice Scarf set is. It comes in, and again, team support minimal, just like U-turn Volt Switch is so common right now. So yeah, it's not a big deal, especially when the ground types are lacking in the current metagame. I mean, aforementioned wonderful speed tier, 95 is great in this metagame, paired with monstrous attacking stat and good coverage options, allows it to have tremendous pressure on enemy team pretty much any time. So yeah, that's a big point worth noting. On top of that, the hazard weakness, yeah, I kind of tied it in with this, so I won't go too much on it, but it can take 25% from rocks, 12.5 from the first layer spikes, toxic spike vulnerable, and then, I mean, also just one other point I'd like to add on to this is the fact that it's always choice locked, so you got to be careful with that. You can't switch moves. So if you face a lot of protect, which metagame pretty much shifted to using a ton of protect to at least try and check it, then you're not going to really be able to make much progress unless they overprotect, or you kind of have to catch something that does never protect. So yeah, I mean, but to the point when you're making the whole metagame shift to using protect spam, that's kind of invalidating it, of itself. So that kind of became ridiculous. So then there was this huge debate on if guerrilla tactics should be banned or Darmanitan, because while guerrilla tactics gave you like the instant choice band, Darmanitan was the only user of it. and only thing broken with it. So like, could you prove that Gorilla Tactics is broken? And generally speaking, you only ban abilities that they break multiple Pokemon, like prove to be uncompetitive in that way, and ban worthy in that way, such as Moody and Shadow Tag, because that broke like whole evolution line. The Shadow Tag and Moody broke pretty much everything with it, be it artillery or more notably in the metagames lately. Both those were spammed. So yeah, we banned the abilities as opposed to the Pokemon. But in other cases, if an ability makes a single Pokemon broken, then you focus on the Pokemon because you don't want to overly complicate the tiering list. All of a sudden, we'd kind of hit like a bunch of slippery slopes where you'd be trying to like ban single abilities instead of Pokemon for preservation purposes. And I'm aware that Zen mode being collateral is unfortunate, but ultimately speaking, from a tiering perspective, it made the most sense to proceed as we did. And I'm very confident of that. And I'm aware it's actually been kind of controversial throughout the community, but I mean, just look at where we could have been led had we employed this strategy so many other different times in the past. And I'm aware, like, you can't outright compare it to a couple things, but if you look at the fact that their Manatee itself is the only Pokemon with Gorilla Tactics, then banning the Pokemon is kind of in line with how we've approached things historically. So just getting into the paragraph we had, we ban Pokemon regardless of whether their move pool, their stats, or their ability makes them overpowered. Our tiering system is built around this principle. So banning Pokemon components separately will produce a bloated and convoluted rule set if consistently used as first measure. So yeah, again, as I said, the aforementioned slippery slope will be applied there, because who knows what would happen if we ban Gorilla Tactics, and all of a sudden, what if we determined that in the past generations banning X ability would allow Y Pokemon to be free, but just Y Pokemon? It's like, so suddenly we're going out of our way to like free one Pokemon with like a single ability just for like keeping that one option there. We're making all of a sudden a very complicated ban list for like new players aren't going to understand the consistency, and we've had an approach because there is no more consistency, and there is no more precedent that we're following. So all of a sudden that whole thing is out, and then we're going to apply it multiple times. So now all of a sudden we're going to want to make so many different tiering decisions. There's so many different things, and the tiers are going to get messed up, and we'll have like certain Pokemon that are like partially usable and there's certain abilities, and like remembering all of that would get so hard. And I just personally feel like that is such a mess that we really don't need to have when we kind of have a straightforward procedure. And employing that really, while it does include the collateral of Zen mode, I mean that's just it's such a small burden to endure for preserving the actual balance of our tiering system and consistency that we have formed over years and years and years, ever since like the last set of complex bands that we're now very much disassociating ourselves with. So yeah, I'm happy with how we approach that. Just to finish off the paragraph, the circumstances need to be exceptional for us to stray from this norm, such as inherently uncompetitive, heavily luck-based slash devoid of skill abilities, or abilities that are a large that affect a large variety of Pokemon very negatively. So yeah, for example, if an ability breaks multiple Pokemon, let's say 3 or 5 Pokemon, then maybe we ban that instead of Pokemon, because that actually involves less collateral, less issues, so it kind of supports the previous factor, because odds are the ability is like the isolated problem. You could then you could isolate it with a larger sample size, but couldn't really apply that here because obviously only Darmanitan got it. Anyway, abilities of larger 2 recent examples: Shadow Tag and Moody. So yeah, there we have it. Just tag the mortal to implement it on PS. So yeah, basically we banned Big Bad Darmanitan. No regrets there. Thank you to Charm Flash for writing this up, and the rest of the council, of course, for helping get the process over with. But yeah, looking forward to future metagame, future uploads, etc. I hope this helped clear up your minds, and it's Finch. Peace.